Let's get fired. All right. We've already had intros. We'll keep it. We want to really get the time for this brilliance here. There's a couple of tidbits about each of you I'll get into in a second. We have a great panel here today. We got, Danny Masters, an absolute legend, as well as my fashion consultant. Danny has a tattoo of Bitcoin. Is that on your back? Is that your lower back, Danny, or is that your upper back? What
Across the shoulders.
Excellent. All right. We have the eloquent Manoj Narender from Mara. We got Henri Arslanian, who runs a hedge fund, but also has a podcast, television show. I mean, it's a little-known fact. Dubai is a very safe place. The only dangerous place to be in Dubai is between Henri and a microphone. So just be careful. And then we needed some thoughtful intelligence, and so we have Lina, who runs CXDA markets. Okay, so we're going to start with a rapid-fire round. I'm going to be strict about this, folks. Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being essential and 1 being inconsequential, how important is the U.S. election to the growth and adoption of digital assets globally, and why? Danny, start with you.
It's a 5. Look, the US is the largest capital market in the world. Let's not forget that. It has also been the worst place to do crypto for the last 4 years. And I think a change in administration, outlook, policy, and execution is going to have a really meaningful impact.
Okay, we got a 5. Manoj.
Number 3, I would say, because you have something called the Global South, which His Excellency Badr Jaffer referred to yesterday. You have 50% of the global GDP sitting in the Global South, which is the global majority. 85% of their population is under the age of 25. So we have a long way to actually go.
Okay, we got a 3. Henri.
For me, it's pretty much for global adoption, 0. Honestly, if you're a U.S. investor in crypto, it's pure speculation. If you're living in the U.S., crypto does not matter. It's cool, it's nice, it's sexy. The people are using crypto. If somebody in Turkey, because of inflation, losing their money, people in Nigeria, people across Africa. The Tether alone, one of the biggest stable coins, has 330 million wallets. Where it matters, where it's a 5, it's on the rise of crypto asset management. Even a firm like us, we're a hedge fund, we're the first one to be licensed here. Less than 5 or 10% of our AUM, as one of the largest market-neutral hedge funds in the world, comes from the US, which is the opposite of any other traditional hedge fund. So for asset management in crypto, 5, 10. For adoption of crypto, 0, you're -2.
Okay, Lina?
I would give it a 2 because this ship has sailed. Crypto, digital assets, tokenization, this is all happening. It is happening globally. It's great to have the US join back into that or lead it, but this is happening with or without.
Interesting. Okay, as an American, I'm used to being the center of attention and thinking that everything we do is very important. It's a little bit. I won't do the median because I was told there'd be no math, but ultimately I think it works out to about a 2.73 on average. We'll run it back this way. Lina, what have you heard from each camp, Harris versus Trump, that you like and dislike? And if you don't have an opinion on that, what would you like to hear from each camp? So one or the other.
So I'm actually following quite closely because the US is very important for technology and crypto. The camp of Trump talking about putting together an advisory committee from the crypto industry, from the people who are involved, that's very encouraging. He's talking about a whole lot of other things to make it the crypto sort of capital of the world. But this to me, because then it will drive regulations, and I believe regulations is very important. So that's on the Trump end. For Harris, I haven't heard much. She's kind of pro-digital assets. This is encouraging, definitely better than Biden, but yet to be.
Okay, so the creation of a digital asset advisory committee. So I'll stay with you 1 second because you were very succinct. Thank you for that. Who, maybe not names, but what type of skill sets or perspectives would you like to see on that committee?
So definitely people from the industry who have been working with the big companies like, I'm not going to name, but, Coinbase, et cetera, Ripple.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah. I accept the nomination. Thank you.
But also regulations, people that are from the regulatory.
Excellent. Industry perspective. Henri.
First of all, I think the fact that both political parties in the U.S. are talking about crypto is something exceptional. I've been in this space now for 10 years. This is the first year where crypto is even a topic. When it comes to Donald Trump, the fact that day one they committed to fire the SEC chair is, I
He
think, very
can't
welcome.
do that, by the way. Like,
it's-
legally, he can't. He
No,
can't.
no, I know. I mean, figuratively. I mean, but
It's a nice thing to say. Yeah.
there's been a lot of regulation by enforcement where, I mean, in first year of law school, you learn that is not the way it's been done from a due process perspective. So I think there's a lot of initiative. Where I think Trump lost a lot of credibility is they just launched a token called Liberty Financial Token, where Trump is named as the chief crypto advocate. His sons are named as Web3 ambassador, and his son Barron is named as a DeFi visionary. So I think he lost a lot of credibility in the crypto world. With Harris, actually, there's been a lot of initiatives they've done recently with the black community, because what people often don't know, the black community is actually holds more crypto than the average, say, white community in the US. So there's obviously a political angle there. But even whatever happens in the US, whether Republicans or Democrats, net crypto is, we're better off in November and January than we are right now. That's 100% for sure.
I agree with that. Manoj.
So I'm going to pick up on what Henri said. The fact that this now forms part of the actual narrative for both camps is extremely healthy. But I do also go back to it because the global influence and the impact on the global cryptocurrency markets is going to be negligible. You've got India and the entire region here that has a very clear strategy on digital asset regulatory framework adoption. The US is still trying to figure it out, all right? And I think what is interesting, even Fadi said this earlier, VARA has come in here and set up the virtual asset regulatory framework, which is huge. And I think that if I take a step back, I'm very grateful, as I said, that it is there, but the relevance to me is not as high as it used to be.
Okay. Danny, as much as Americans hate Brits telling us what to do with our government, I'm going to give you the floor now. What are you hearing that you like or don't like?
Well, I think the emergence of crypto into the political narrative was almost triggered by my good friend Mike Novogratz when he pointed out on a podcast that while 65 million people in America owned dogs, 85 million people owned crypto. And did the Democrats really want to be the party that hates dogs? And I thought that was just a really lovely, succinct comment. And that's when the whole temperature changed and the whole narrative sprung up. And all of a sudden, Trump is buying a hamburger with a Bitcoin or part of a Bitcoin. And what a great sea change. But I think that's illuminating about the social power that crypto in general has. In terms of the camps, look, you've got Republicans and Democrats, you've got people who are for free markets, less regulation, more money in your pocket, less taxes, a little bit looser with national security, versus, and we know the Democrats are pretty much the opposite. But in the areas of regulation, consumer protection, innovation, environment, tax, DeFi, national security, you're going to see that typical split, but every one of those areas has to be addressed. And if you want to see how to do it wrong, follow the example of the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom decided to create this nanny system to protect investors from crypto. And what they did was get all the retail investors out of the market at Bitcoin 15,000 to miss one of the greatest investments of our decade, and then sent them all to FTX where they went bankrupt because there was no framework. So it can go badly wrong, and I think the US is now on a path to get it right.
So on that issue of broad-based ownership, one of the data points that has been very effective in the US was striking to me. So NASDAQ did a survey or did a study. About 52 million Americans have directly bought stock. Not through pensions, a lot more owners, but have gone on to their E-Trade account and purchased a share of a stock in the US markets. Roughly 52 million Americans have bought crypto. So that was pretty eye-opening for a lot of politicians. We'll get to our fourth question as we think is playing an outsized role. But let's run it back this way. So do you think the outcome of the election will impact which parts of the world have a higher probability of growing as centers?
In terms of crypto centers?
Correct. Yeah. So if Trump wins, do you think there's less energy around emerging non-US crypto centers, or do you think it's irrelevant?
I don't think it's a push me, pull you. I don't think it's, one wins, one loses. I just think the US has been in reverse gear for 4 years, and I think even the slightest neutrality or movement forward is going to be good for the whole environment worldwide.
Yeah, 'cause I think this is a somewhat arrogant question for an American to ask, but I think the thesis is, it's true, the thesis is there's been this pushing out of the U.S. I think that's clearly been happening. And if the U.S. becomes normal and rational, we're so great, we'll suck all that back in. Like, do you buy that?
I think there's a sort of breach of trust. Another good example, so the UK has finally come around to allowing exchange-traded products to be listed, and they're not trading at all because the regulator broke the trust. It is difficult to get people back, but I think there's an indigenous community in America that's been just subdued that will rally.
Yeah, Manoj?
I actually don't think it's going to have a reverse flow in, because right now, the level of digital and blockchain adoption that's happening in the global south is phenomenal, and they are not going to stop. And actually, they want to avoid the U.S. regulatory framework as much as they can.
Okay, Henri?
I think the U.S., unfortunately for Americans, that ship has sailed. I mean, to give you a very practical example today, if you're a U.S. entity, you're a U.S. person, you're not able to trade on most of the big international platforms. I can tell you, even as a hedge fund, for us to hire an American, it's a problem, because on many of the platforms you use, if you're American, you don't have access to it. They will actually not even onboard you. So it's a problem from that perspective. Where I think it's going to win, it's countries like the UAE. I mean, put things in perspective. Today, we mentioned before, VARA here, we have the world's first crypto specialized regulator. VARA, we're the first crypto hedge fund to be licensed there. Just to put things in perspective, VARA has over 850 applications. As a hedge fund, I'm literally 1 minute walk away from all my counterparties. Binance, Bybit, OKX, Deribit, you name them. They're all, not 2 minutes, 1 minute. It takes me more time to go down the elevator than actually go to their offices. And that's the ecosystem that is built, that is difficult to replicate. ADGM has built what they've done for firms that are doing. The IFC is doing it for TradFi firms who are getting in. RACDAO in Ras Al Khaimah is doing regulations for on DAOs. They built this ecosystem that is, I think, the ship has sailed. As an international hub, I think the UAE has done something quite remarkable. I was based before for 10, 15 years in Hong Kong and China. There was a whole decade where Hong Kong and China was the center of excellence of crypto. FTX was created there, Binance was created there, Bybit was created, Tether was created there, Crypto.com was created there. Everything was there. Because of COVID and bad policy, the crypto space moved. The crypto industry is very mobile, and it will go somewhere where there's regulatory clarity, and most importantly, where we feel welcome. And I think the UAE has done a great job on that. And there's a reason you're having all these crypto companies here, and all the big headquarters now have moved here.
Okay.
Very true.
Lina, same question. Do you think the U.S. election has any impact or effect on which parts of the world thrive?
I think we cannot underestimate the U.S. as a center for technology in general. And if Trump gets into office, I think there's going to draw a lot of influx back into the U.S., but it's not going to make those people desert the places that they have already set up in. So back to Henri's point, there's a lot of companies from all sides of crypto and digital assets that are regulated now in the UAE. They're not going to leave that and just go back. So they will go back, they will go to the US, but they will preserve, they will keep, and also bear in mind, crypto and digital assets and tokenization, all these technologies really address problems and challenges that exist in this part of the world. So there's an audience, there is a use case, and it's growing from here. So there's a market. They're not going to desert that and just go back to the US.
Excellent. Well, I'm doing such a good job on time management, I can sneak in another question that wasn't on your prep list. And I want to, actually, Manoj and Henri, I want to stick with you guys on this briefly. So 1 minute each, because you're the least, least optimistic about, or at least you're convinced the least that the US elections have import into this. So by extension of that logic, that means that if we didn't have Gary Gensler for the last 4 years, if we had Jay Clayton or someone really pro-crypto, by extension of your logic, it would have no effect on crypto, because the SEC has very little effect. So you think that's fair to say? You think if we had a pro-crypto SEC chairperson for the last 6 years, that crypto would be exactly where it is today?
I think the question is not being pro-crypto. The problem is providing regulatory clarity. That's all the crypto companies are asking for. Yep. Today, a company like yours, for example, they're literally spending all their time in court, right? They're just being sued left and right. I mean, only last week we had, I think, 3 or 4 enforcement. This is really regulation by enforcement, which which is basically you're getting sued, like firms like Coinbase saying you're running, you need to be registered as a securities broker. But even if these firms went to get registered, it was impossible, right? And there's regulatory uncertainty. So the problem is not who is chairing the SEC, whether it's Jay Clayton or it's Chris Giancarlo at CFTC, doesn't matter. It's just regulatory clarity. I think there's a big misconception in the traditional finance world that crypto wants to avoid rules. I can tell you very honestly, I've been in this space for 10 years. Prior to this, I used to run the global crypto business at PwC, right? We had 400 people in 25 countries. The one single request we had with crypto companies was, please, we just want regulatory clarity, somewhere we can operate. Our guys can get visas, operate where the rules are clear. There's some things that will take time, audit rules, taxation, that we understand. But regulatory clarity, there's no excuse. And UAE proved that it can be done.
Okay, but in fairness, a more friendly SEC would have probably meant a higher likelihood of regulatory clarity. But
I think they would not leave, right?
That's fair. That's fair. Manoj.
So I think you need to just take a step back. What has transpired in the last 180 days? How much money have poured into the BlackRock ETFs? And that is taking into account we're coming into an election 15-day, 14-day cycle. Look at that amount of funding coming in has been unheard of. And
undeniably the single most successful ETF launch in U.S. history, without question.
And if you look at that, that actually is your barometer as to how relevant the U.S. elections are to the crypto market. They are going all in, and we're seeing it, right? We're seeing every single country wanting to have clarity on their digital asset regulatory framework, especially those that are looking at a power strategy. How do they balance their entire grid? They need to have Bitcoin regulation. They need clarity on it because we are effectively mining a commodity for export. And if you don't have that clarity, you're not able to complete the entire cycle. Very clear.
That's a great segue. So Danny, crypto has played an outsized role, I think bigger than anyone expected in this election, given it's still less than 2% of relative to equity and debt markets. So are you surprised by that, and do you see any risks in that?
Look, in my 12 years doing this and my many trips and meetings with various people, I think one demographic you can say for sure is young people almost without exception like crypto. And guess what? Young people turn into old people and they end up running the institutions and the organizations and the governance and the regulators. And I think that it is not a question of if, it's just a question of when, and maybe we can accelerate that a little bit. So super important. And like just to sort of put all of this conversation in brief summary, look, it's kind of easier to start from a clean sheet of paper, which is I think what's happened here in Abu Dhabi and Dubai in the last few years. And I got full praise and credit for the efforts that have been made and the way that businesses have been attracted here. But again, as was mentioned, think about the BlackRock ETF, $20 billion US. Think about Coinbase's $200 billion IPO. When you can see financial transactions and deals of that magnitude here, then here wins. But in the meantime, you've got a regulatory landscape that's been bombed out in America. And as that heals, I think over the next couple of years, you should never rule out the US to make a big comeback.
Yeah, I mean, it never hurts to have a firm like BlackRock add credibility to. But I'll note, I mean, look, BlackRock, I know Robbie's here, and we're huge fans of his. Like, BlackRock has done an incredible job. But some of the other firms have done incredibly well, punched way above their weight. To do a really, really great job. And I think it's sort of a team effort with BlackRock really leading the way. Lina, over to you. Same question.
So in terms of the effect on crypto, or is that bad? No. There's a lot of donations that already went from crypto wallets into the elections. And I think that this is fair. It is an industry just like any other. And why not? But it's not going to influence one way or another. It has to be on the map. Now it is on the map. Both sides understand the weight and the importance. But there is no negative to have that happening on the.
Henri, let me just challenge it a bit. so one of my concerns my whole career in crypto, I came from commodities like Dan. In fact, Danny's a legend in the commodities world, and I had heard about him when I was starting out and read about him, and then I met him and I realized we're actually close to the same age. That's pretty sad that he was my mentor, my idol. But commodities were really good at keeping quiet. Yeah. Right, Danny? When the floor traders would come off the NYMEX, I'd be like, how was your day as a young kid? They'd be like, oh, the market stunk. And I went to my boss one day, I was like, well, God, everyone's losing money. He's like, you idiot. They're making money hand over fist. They're just smart enough to keep quiet about it, right? I always felt crypto to some degree took up too much air relative to its size, and that hurts us overall. So I'll give you the same question. Do you see any downside to crypto playing such an outsized role in this election?
I mean, first of all, I think the reason it plays a role is because it matters, right? I mean, just to give some data, right? Literally now, there's over 40 million Americans that hold crypto.
52.
It's 52 now. Okay, here you go, but even more. But what's really interesting there is the data is that a quarter of those are between the age of 18 to 24. Key demographic these parties are targeting on crypto, and for the majority of them, 51%, the crypto policy matters. And if you look at the data now, interest in crypto has increased in a lot of these battle states right now, right? Like from Michigan to Pennsylvania to Wisconsin. So I'm not surprised it actually has an impact there and people are caring about it. When it comes to the crypto industry, I think we've done a terrible job when it comes to PR, right? For example, if you think crypto, you think about these scammers, you think these Lamborghinis. I mean, Dubai, I call it personally the crypto marina crowd. Where there's unfortunately, there's a lot of people like us building real businesses, working hard, ensuring how we really were taking fiduciary obligations very seriously. For example, our hedge fund, to give you guys an idea, with Vara, we have weekly reporting. We have monthly financials to the regulators. I'm happy to bet that many of the other regulated firms in the room, and non-crypto, you don't have this level of reporting. So we're really trying the best thing, building best in class. But however, people like us are not in the media doesn't cover us. But if there's a scam, there's a thing, there's a hack, of course the media is all over this. And there's a lot of misconceptions because, Bitcoin has no CEO, right? There's no advocate. For example, one of the biggest misconceptions I find, if people think crypto, they think money laundering. They think, let me give you a piece of advice. If you want to do something illegal, do not use Bitcoin. 100% you will get caught. Yeah. Not 99, 100%. But if you think about crypto, like when I go to ICs, people are like, crypto, we don't know, we're not sure. So I think there's a lot of PR problem, and this will take time. And unfortunately, things like FTX didn't help us. Crypto influencers in Lamborghinis don't help us, and I think the whole narrative.
I get asked all. First of all, I'm very close with the head of the FBI in New York and for crypto, and he would love it if everybody used. If every criminal used Bitcoin, he'd be thrilled. I always get asked, how can I identify a crypto scam? And I have a very simple answer. If it's a man over 19 in head-to-toe Gucci, that's a really good sign. That's nature's rattle. That's its way of telling you stay away. Manoj.
Can I just? I just want to add one point to Henry's
point, please, Danny.
Henri, this is what makes it the degens, the crypto bros. This is what makes it fun.
It's a good question. We'll do a lightning round. Does getting away from that have any negative effects? It's a great point. We'll end with that. Manoj, outsized influence of crypto on the election and any potential risk of that?
No, I just think that as Henri said, Dan as well, and Lina, look, it's about you have a part of the world that is growing. That same demographic from 18 to 24 is that same demographic in the global south that is adopting crypto at an exponential pace, namely Bitcoin. And the amount of work that people have to do to explain the benefits of it takes a lot of time, all right? And once you actually explain that this actually has a positive impact for anybody's power agenda, your growth plans as an entire country, people start taking you seriously. And I come from the oil and gas sector. I am energy all the way. I'm not a crypto bro in any capacity, and nor do I ever want to be one.
There's no hoodie under that beautiful suit, Manoj, you sure?
Not going to happen. Not going to happen.
I see something peeking out in the back.
Not going to happen, and there's no tattoos anyway. Sorry, Daniel. But seriously, if you just take a step back, the fact that there has been such a high level of crypto adoption, and Bitcoin adoption is a very positive thing. And as regulations gets clarified globally, I think we are in for a phenomenal ride.
Couldn't agree more. All right. We got 5. I'm going to try to squeeze in. This will be a master class in moderation. I'm going to squeeze in 2 lightning round questions. All right? Danny, I'm just as humble as you are. Okay. So I'm going to start with this one. We'll end with your predictions, but I'm going to start with this one. I want you to say something nice about Gary Gensler. I want you to say something that the SEC has done well. Who wants to go? Who just wants to go first?
Henri?
Henri, let's go. You're up. Say something nice. I think we make a mistake of demonizing. They're people. I know the SEC well. I used to lecture there. They're human beings. That most of them are trying to do a good job, what they think is best for the country. So say something nice.
If I had a chance to meet Gary Gensler, actually, I probably wouldn't say anything. I would just listen to him because I'm really trying to understand where it's coming from, and it's not clear to me. You know, if there's one good thing, maybe it brought attention. We're talking about him on a panel, if you think about it. But I really want to listen to him and try to understand where he's coming from, because for me, it's completely unclear.
I'm going to say that he's put himself out there. I think he has. He goes on TV, defends himself. Lina, say something nice.
So I would thank him because he made a lot of people sympathize with crypto and with the technology, you know, because he was so anti sometimes and quite often for no reason. That there's a lot of people who are now sympathizing and trying to really understand what's going on.
Okay.
So
He's made more people aware. Okay. Manoj, say something nice.
I just want him to explain to me
See how uncomfortable everyone is? This is great.
the transparency behind his thought process. That's it.
Okay. Danny.
I'll say something nice about Gary Gensler. You know, we all hate bullies. We all hate the schoolyard bully. And we all get great satisfaction when the bigger kid comes into the schoolyard and takes the bully out. And I just want to say something nice about Gary Gensler. It was a good idea. He didn't say no to Larry Fink.
Okay. Okay. So for any press here, everyone on this panel loves Gary Gensler. Walk away with that. Okay. Final round. Prediction. Where do you think this is all going? Where do you see us in a year from now? When we're sitting here in a year from now and Zach and Raha invite us back, what do you think we'll be talking about then?
I think we will be talking about clarity, more regulation, having come out there and helping all of those companies that are really hardworking, as Henri said, and trying to make things happen with this technology. So more clarity, will be happy there is more of it. The US, if Trump is in office, I think they're going to be leaders in terms of regulations and clarity and putting this out there.
Yeah. Henri, where are we going?
I think a year from now, more awareness. You know, if you're a fiduciary money, you're managing money, you know, I think we have a moral duty and intellectual duty to at least try to understand it. You may love Bitcoin, you may hate Bitcoin. You may love crypto, you may hate crypto. But I think we have the moral, intellectual, and fiduciary obligation to at least understand it, whether it makes sense for our client's portfolio, and also for us. My piece of advice, you know, I give to everybody is, you know, you may not know much about crypto. Ask the youngest member in your family when you're having lunch or dinner with them this week. Yeah. See what they think about crypto. See what they think about NFTs. And you'll be very, very surprised. And as a gift, you know, Christmas, holidays coming up, instead of buying another piece of garbage they're going to throw away, why don't you buy them a piece of crypto, a Bitcoin? See how it is. You experiment with it as well. So, you know, I've been teaching crypto.
So if they're not eating Tide Pods on TikTok, we should ask them for financial advice. That's great.
Yeah, exactly.
We got to move on. We got to move on. Manoj, I finish on time.
Yeah, I think. Look, I think you will see a significant amount of sovereign wealth funds investing into Bitcoin, and what we saw recently with BlackRock is just the beginning.
Okay, Danny, take us out.
Yeah, look, I'm not a crypto bull, perma bull, or a Bitcoin maxi or anything like that. But you know, I try to have a measured opinion about markets, and I look at where we are right now. I think.
Where would the tattoo be if you were a maxi, Danny?
Here. But look, I think we're on the right side of the rate cycle. We're on the right side of the political cycle. We're on the right side of the regulatory cycle. I think Bitcoin is 100K when we sit here next year. And I think the other surprise we're going to see is, as I've noticed in Europe with the new MiCA legislation, there are a lot more people coming to actually use crypto, specifically stable coins, because in Europe at least, this is no longer the gray area between illegal and legal. Now it is explicitly legal, and it's been a surprise to me after many years talking to such people how they will engage now that there is that clarity there. So in short, higher Bitcoin prices, and a lot more engagement of real-world companies in crypto.
Excellent. Big round of applause for our panelists. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the show.